At least one group is urging Libya's transitional leadership to turn the page and end the system of abuses under Gaddafi's regime. Human Rights Watch advisor Fred Abrahams specialises in fact-finding and advocacy in human rights crises and armed conflict. He joins us now from Tripoli. First of all, what is emerging in the weeks since the rebels began to move in on Tripoli about Gaddafi's record of human rights abuses?
Well, what's emerging is a picture that's distressingly grim. As neighborhoods of the capital come under control and are more secure, we're finding different sites, like the one in your report, which we visited, in which there were apparent executions. And this seems to have been the spurt of violence in the dying days of this regime. And particularly disturbing are the executions of prisoners, people who had been detained over the past 6 months, some of them fighters, but some of them simply people who had expressed a peaceful opposition to this government and paid the ultimate price.
Have you had any indication, or indeed anything more than an indication, that the National Transitional Council will be any different?
Well, so far the words have been promising. They've all said that they will avoid revenge. This revolution was to turn the page on Libya's very repressive history. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen. I think there are good signs, but a lot of work to be done. And what's key now is the National Transitional Council does not engage in any revenge, condemns it, works against it, and tries to investigate and prosecute these cases with the rule of law through the courts and not through some sort of retaliatory violence.
And how do you account for the public, Libyans who for 40 years have not been able to speak freely? How do they begin to heal as the presumably increasing number of reports about human rights abuses over the years come out?
Look, I think the tough job now stands before Libyans. It's so much easier to fight against a dictator than to build something new. And that's now going to require patience, knowledge, wisdom, and Libya's going to need help. So the United Nations and international agencies must come in here and help them rebuild, in particular, the justice system. Because if they don't think the courts are going to deal with these issues, they will take violence or justice into their own hands. And that's what we're pushing for. It's not an easy task. It will take a long time and be a difficult process.
And in terms of that healing and the justice that you emphasise, what role do you believe Muammar Gaddafi plays in that? Should he be handed over, in Human Rights Watch view, to the International Criminal Court? Should he be tried by his own people if captured alive?
We do believe that Muammar Gaddafi and the other two with arrest warrants against them should be sent to the International Criminal Court. At this stage, the Libyan justice system is not in a position to handle such complex trials, but there are many other people who need to face justice. But the key issue here is that it be done properly and through the rule of law. We don't want some sort of kangaroo court justice here of the victors. It has to be done properly. And as I say, that will require building up a court system that is up to international standards. Not an easy task.
And a final question concerning a story from Tripoli we reported on earlier in this programme. The fate of Abdel Based Ali al-Megrahi. Does Human Rights Watch have a view on calls for his extradition?
We don't at this stage. I mean, it's not a case that we've looked at. But I mean, in fact, the extradition is a legitimate and proper call. The evidence against him in Scotland or elsewhere calls for it. So, in fact, yes, I should say that his extradition is something that I think would promote justice.
All right, we'll leave it there. Fred Abrahams of Human Rights Watch speaking to us live. Thank you from Tripoli.